Well, Gil and George, I'm so happy to be talking to you in advance of your shows in Chicago. You guys are going to be here for a week. How do you expect that you'll use the downtime here compared to what you've done in other cities?
We're going to spend a lot of time in Skokie. We'll awaken early, and we'll just drive out to Skokie and to Wilmette, to all the hot spots,
Mhm.
to LaGrange.
I've got.
We're just
I've got
gonna get out of the city as early as possible in the day.
I'm gonna do online dating with a woman in Peoria. I met a woman through online on Craigslist, and she said that she wanted to go skiing 420, and I think that's a reference to cocaine. But just in case, I'm gonna bring my cross country skis, and hopefully there's like bringing it, and then hopefully there's like an abandoned, like a refrigerator factory in Peoria that we can cross country ski around, and then get this to do gross stuff.
Not a lot of people.
I'm also I'm gonna bring a camera crew, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the spots where Patinkin had scenes on Chicago Hope, and I'm gonna redo them better for my Patinkin You Stinkin' reel, which I'm gonna mail to him one of these days.
Yeah, well, and I've been arguing. George and I get along for the most part, but I've been pushing hard for it to be called Tinkering with Patinkin, and this is, he does Sunday in the Park with George, and he doesn't even have to change the title for that one.
That one really works. Some of the other ones, though, Homeland is George Land. That one, I'm not proud of that one, but I'm sticking it to Mandy.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have known each other a long time, but I feel like going on this type of tour and spending time together in such close quarters while traveling might be something different for you. How are you getting along on stage and off stage so far? And has there been anything you've learned about each other through this new experience?
Well, I learned that, when Gil cuts those toenails, he hollers. I mean, he just hollers. And he sits on the edge of the bed at the Radisson. And Gil, how would you describe those toenails?
My toenails look like individual sliced American cheese, group single, and but they're hard. So if we don't have remote control when we're in the hotel room, I cut the nail and hope that it hits the TV, the TV changer, and that's how we decide on what we're going to watch. And I've learned about George that he wears a robe that's made of old New York Times, which is, and it's really softened up over the years. It's actually quite comfortable.
It's quite comfortable at this time. It's really been softened down like old money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you have a week run of shows happening right as the NCAA tournament is getting started. How concerned are you that having that going on could take attention away from people coming to the show?
Well, we draw from an ABA crowd. ABA fans come out to see the show. I'm not too concerned. You concerned, Gil?
And I'll say this: we are very used to being in direct competition with young minorities. So this is nothing new for us that we have vying for the same attention.
When we go out,
black kids.
When we try to get cardboard space on the ground to street dance, it's not like there's no competition.
I don't know if you remember the movie. If you remember it took place in Chicago. Hip Dreams, documentary Hip Dreams.
I do.
Hip Dreams.
Well, that was supposed to be about us.
About your basketball careers or something completely different?
No, it's just us living in low-income housing and what we do. But
yeah,
I feel like they rolled on us for a half hour, and then I I heard one say to the other, "This is unusable," and they packed up and left.
And then,
Uh, well, you guys are known for sneaking into, or something I read about you is that you sort of have snuck into plays throughout your lives at intermission to avoid having to pay the cover charge. How do you feel? I know,
Sure.
yeah, I don't believe you guys have an intermission for your own show, but how do you feel about people kind of taking a page from your book and trying to sneak in late?
we, uh, oh, all right.
Gil's breaking up a little because he's talking. Gil, you're breaking up a little. Are you talking through your weed blow tube with the rolled up
Yeah.
dryer sheet at the end? Can you hear him, Matt?
Oh no, I
Gil's
can't.
talking through our blow tube.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Now you're back.
I learned from my nephew that you use a blue tube. It's dryer sheets and toilet paper, and so and then nobody in the SRO can smell your weed, and nobody ganks it from you. But what I was gonna say was something very important.
And there you have it. You know, we don't expect we hope people follow correct theater procedure with us and not sneak in and pay full price. Even though we've disrespected many great Chicago productions, we snuck into the Steppenwolf in the 70s, and it was Malkovich and Sinise, and I said, "You big dome, you big head, and you Lieutenant Dan Ban, you two stink." I said, and they were doing True West, and we ended up doing our own ripoff of True West.
Yeah, we did a play called True Upper West about two brothers on the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
And even though we heckled Malkovich and Sinise, we stole that play. And we go back to the Steppenwolf all the time because we love weird, quiet plays.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. We've been, there are a number of lawsuits keeping us many feet away from Laurie Metcalf. And in fact, we're legally not even allowed to watch reruns of Roseanne. That's how big of a restraining order Metcalf has on us.
Yeah, I would say the judge granted a long leash to the amount we're not allowed near her.
How did John Malkovich and Gary Sinise react to you guys as you were heckling them?
Malkovich screaming at you is real terrifying. He let loose on us with his full acting, and I was scared, man. I mean, even for the 70s, I was scared. That's a huge dome to be yelling at you. That's a big noggin.
And Sinise, I thought Sinise was a Jack Russell Terrier who they had put an outfit on stage.
Sinise just looked at us and said, in a few years, I'll quietly become conservative. We said, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I was excited to see you guys on The Bachelor and really connect with sort of a different demographic. How did you feel like that went over when you guys had that big chance on that show?
I think we did great.
I mean, I would say, many of George's dogs that he has had over the years, I mean, we killed it, and so
we put it down, baby.
How interested would you guys be in being the first co-bachelors for a season?
Co-bachelor?
It could be co-bachelor?
Well, to be co-bachelor, we obviously, after the final rose is on tonight, so I can't say that they're going to announce that we're co-bachelor, but I'll go ahead and say tonight, ABC, they're going to announce that we are co-bachelors for the next season of The Bachelor Haiti, the Haitian version of The Bachelor, when we're going to be flying to Port-au-Prince to do promos real soon.
Yeah.
Well, you guys definitely have a reputation of being
thank you.
Of being sort of sexually confident, let's say. How do you feel like new crowds respond to that as they welcome you to their city?
Well,
how does the new crowd?
it really depends on the city, but I would say a city like Chicago Georgia Gill, and I'm speaking in the third person here. They're gonna clean up. You know what I mean? Because
We're gonna go up
Chicago's-
and down Lincoln. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, look, we're gonna go up and down Lincoln Avenue, and we're gonna be able to score any 10 we see. And if she's got a boyfriend, buddy, there's no ass we can't kick in Chicago. I don't care how juiced up Catholic and violent you are. You're not going to want to tango with the boys. And we're going to walk up and down Lincoln Avenue picking fights from very thick-necked guys that work at the Board of Trade. We're going to kick all your asses, and we're going to take your 10.
That's right. And I would just add to that, Chicago is the perfect city for guys like us because it's filled with a good democratic base of liberal racists. And so I think we're going to be right at home.
Well, on that note, some people sort of have a stereotype of many people of your generation sort of having a degree of racism lingering.
Wow.
How do you feel about that stereotype sort of ongoing, especially when we know how much racism is out there for some younger people too?
Of course. And so this is a good time for us to say, which we've been waiting to. How dare you? How dare you, Matt? How dare you, Matt? We marched on Selma. You understand that? Call us racist. Jill and I marched on Selma, the movie.
That's right.
This was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We marched on the Regal Cineplexodian.
That's right.
Because they didn't.
That's right.
They didn't honor a refills policy that I believed they had.
Well, it's
And
clear.
they wouldn't refill my Dr. Peppy.
Yeah, and I wanted to eat nachos at the movie theater, and they said we only do popcorn, and so I brought in a pocket full of warm cheese, and they threw me out, and so we protested.
They threw him out like Jazz Jeff on Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
They threw him out horizontal like Jazz Jeff.
You know what I heard, though, George? George, you know what I heard?
Go ahead.
That there was a mattress below Jeff on the Fresh
Well,
Prince.
there was no mattress below Gil Faizon. They threw him
No.
hard to the pavement.
That's right.
I've always thought of Gil and DJ Jazzy Jeff being sort of one and the same.
Yeah, they're kind of, in terms of the body glove clothing, the Zubas, they have a lot in common.
And you're a lot like Fresh Prince, George.
I am. I did once take a taxi cab all the way to California.
Well, as you guys have lived lives with a lot of experience of not being involved.
We have lived lives, Matt. We have
Thank you,
lived
man.
lives. Thank you, man.
After spending so much time not being invited places, how much of an adjustment has it been being welcomed so many places around the city with this show?
I would argue that it's not that we haven't been invited places. We've just never been welcome anywhere. And I think that's an important distinction to make.
Yeah, we've gone to things,
Yeah,
it's not that we're never welcome. We get in the door. But we're quickly as
how many performances of Mamma Mia did we see at that Chicago theater, George?
When it was at the Cadillac Palace, we saw, because we snuck in it into Michi, we saw 90-second halves of Mamma Mia.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel confused at all about how they had gotten to that point in the story?
I talked to I finally met the writer of the musical. I said, we always walk in the second half. Can you explain what happens? And he said, it's nonsensical, the whole musical, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's a direct shot, and I don't mind taking shots.
No, and just for the record, we don't mind taking shots. And so if you see us at a bar, offer us a shot, or if you see us, offer us one of your famous dish pizzas.
Yeah.
Ooh, Yeah, that's what I want. When I eat a piece of pizza, I want to conk out for 7 hours immediately following it and shit my brains out while I'm conked out. That's what I want.
I want pizza to give me sinus trouble.
Well, my last question is, you guys are
Thank
having
you.
so much success with this show. How much potential do you see for a movie, and what's something you feel like you'd be able to do with a bigger budget and the format of something on a big screen versus that you can't do on stage?
Well, we're obviously interested in doing a new Blues Brothers, because we feel like Blues Brothers 2000 didn't quite cover all of the bases,
I mean, it was excellent, but is there more to cover? We think, yes.
Well, and because George, you had a good point about Chicago and the Blues that I think is very prescient for this for what we want to do with this movie.
Well, Chicago has so nailed this thing of white men pretending to like the blues, and as New Yorkers, we want to do a Blues Brothers, but it's jazz fusion. It's jazz fusion, and it's so it's kind of late era Miles Davis when he looked like an enormous fly, or Herbie Hancock, and it's us smashing cars, which is fine because we do that anyway, and it's just fusion playing. I don't mind if it has no narrative. I'm on record saying that.
Yeah, we're not narrative guys. You know what I mean?
No.
And all of the scenes will take place around that silver bean.
Oh yeah, the bean, baby.
Get back to the bean.
What a great legacy of Merdaily. There's the bean and privatized parking meters.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Gil and George. Truly a pleasure.
Hey, we love you, Matt. We love you.